I guess I can share it also.
Hey, yes, good question. We are live. Club 1040 Day has begun. And so I want to take the prompt that Pastor Toks Adejuwon just mentioned about sharing. And so if you want to help Club 1040 spread the word, go ahead and share it on your social media. That would be great. So Club 1040 Day is on October 4th, which is 10/4, the fourth day of the 10th month, and it represents a anniversary for Julie and I that 29 years ago we got on the plane and made our way to, at that time we were flying to England, where we spent the first 14 years of our overseas work. And so it's a pretty big deal. We've completed 29 years, and tomorrow we start the first day of our 30th year. And so all day long, what we want to do is we want to celebrate what you, our friends, family, partners, those that have prayed and supported. We want to introduce you to the people's lives that you've impacted through those 30 years, and then tell you a little bit about what's happened and celebrate what's happened over this last year, 2023. The Lord spoke to us that it's no small dreams in 2023, and man, we've been seeing all kinds of crazy things happen, and that's why you see these multiplication signs all over in the graphics for Club 1040 Day this year, is because the Lord spoke to us that this year there would be a multiplication of ministries, teams, and resources. Excuse me, ministries, leaders, and resources, and we're seeing that. So, but in interviews happening all throughout the day, this is the first one. Those of you that are in the US, you're still sleeping, but you may catch this live stream later, maybe when you wake up and get your coffee. But if you are catching this live stream and seeing it, then look out for others throughout the day, almost on an hourly basis. And a couple times we're doing even more than that, a couple within a single hour. And this very first one is an exciting one for me, because we have the honor of having Pastor Toks with us. And Pastor Toks, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're at right now, who you are, and what role you play in leading the Bible college there.
Well, I'm Toks Adejuwon, Toks, and that's just easy to call. I'm right here in Abuja, in Nigeria at the moment, and I serve as the National Director for Rhema Bible Training Center in Nigeria.
And so we first met when?
2009 March. We had a phone conversation.
Okay, yes, that's right. That's
yes,
right.
Sir.
And so we were in England in 2007. We visited Nigeria at the invitation to do a mission conference there of a pastor leader. And while we were there, the Lord spoke to us about some things. We came back to England, and our guests for our next interview at the top of the hour, Pastor Alan and Claire Morton, will pick up the story a little bit. But Pastor Alan and Claire were pastoring a church, and we were pastoring a church in the city of Manchester, and we brought those churches together. Little did we expect, but about a year later, the Lord was speaking to us about relocating to Nigeria. And as we went there and prayed, we kept seeing that God wanted to establish a Bible college. Myself, I'm a graduate from Rhema Bible Training College, and it's a real honor and a privilege, and it's made a huge impact on my life. And as we were there praying on the ground, we did several prayer trips, meeting people, connecting with people. I think I met you, Toks, on my second or third, maybe my third visit in person we met. And as we were praying, we really felt like the Lord spoke that this was to be a Bible college. I remember talking to you, and you, the ministry had made such an impact on your life. You so badly wanted to go to Bible college that you tried often to go to the U.S. Tell us a little bit about that, and then where you ended up being trained, and then the impact of how the Club 1040 partners, families, and friends who made it possible for Julie and I to relocate to Nigeria, how that led to what we now have seen unfold. Tell us a little bit about your story for training and how now you're impacting others by training.
Well, just deep down in my heart for several years since I was a high school boy, I had it in my heart to go to Rhema, USA, and it was just like the dream of my heart. And finished in the university, and I applied for a visa to go to the US. Applied 4 times, 3 consecutive years. I got denied a visa, and it was just like, my God. Applied as an international student, $16,000 that I needed to have everything that I needed to do in the natural. I had it in place, but somehow I just got denied the visa. And when that kept happening, I'd had it in my heart about India uh, some years prior. And I now noticed that there was Rhema in India. So I decided, all right, I'll use one stone to kill both birds. I went to Rhema in India and I came back. So I was glad I got to go to Rhema, even though it was in India. And then I was serving in the church in Abuja. And a friend of mine told me how there was an announcement that had been made in Winter Bible Seminar 2009 that someone was coming to start Rhema in Nigeria. I was besides myself. I was just thrilled. And somehow Pastor Matt and I, we got to talk. We met, and uh, it, the joy, the thrill of seeing a dream come true. And Pastor Matt came to Nigeria, and it turned out that Rhema actually came to Nigeria. It's like, my God, is this for real? And it was just something else, you know. And we're really so grateful to the partners, the friends of Club 1040 for making that possible. Pastor Matt and Pastor Julie, they relocated with their entire family. They came to Nigeria, and Rhema actually started right under my nose, right in my city where I was. And just to even put the icing on the cake, I get to be a part of it. And that was just so thrilling. And I'm so grateful to God, and I'm so grateful to Club 1040, to Pastor Matt, Pastor Julie, for making that a reality. And uh, uh, Rhema started October 2010. 2012, February, I got to go to Rhema USA for the first time. And all because Rhema came to Nigeria and Pastor Hagen came to Nigeria. The first time I met Pastor and Mrs. Hagen, it happened to have been in Nigeria. That's just thrilling. And so not only did I get to eventually go to Rhema USA, Rhema USA got to come to Nigeria, started a campus in Nigeria, and the campus is able to impact several lives and be in several cities, and the people of my country get to be impacted. And one thing also about going to, many people go to Rhema USA, and that's great. Many international students go. The thing is, being able to get trained in your locality makes it a whole lot easier. You get to sleep on your own bed, eat the kind of foods you're used to, and just be where you're at. And the thing of people being impacted for their people, you know, it just fixed all that. And Club 1040 partners, you made that happen. And
Awesome.
I'm grateful.
Oh, I love hearing your heart. You've been such a blessing to me over the years. And I truly say that the Bible College wouldn't exist if it wasn't for you just giving your life as a volunteer to begin with, uh, and then eventually as a team member, a paid team member. Um, so you mentioned that you can't just get it's not something where just because you want to go train in a place like the U.S. you can go. Why is it that you got denied all those times? You know, what's it like? And then you mentioned something about having a lot of money. Tell a little bit, because I think a lot of the people that watch these streams, they don't always understand that it's not like you can just get on a plane with your passport and fly and then study someplace. So tell us a little bit about the challenges of that.
Okay. At that time, the only visa type that an international student could come into the US with was an M1, which is actually a vocational visa. Now that's changed a little bit. Now it's an F1. Rema USA allows people to come in with an F1. But the thing about those visa types is this: there's limited work that you can do. With an M1, you can work. So all your living expenses, your feeding expenses, the actual tuition now is about $3,050 per year. But then the living expenses, everything you need, if you're a single person. Now, if you're married, then that increases also. So first, to get a visa from an international, from a country outside the US to go to the US is not the easiest of things. First, they want to be sure that you're going to come back. They want to be sure that you have strong ties in your country. They want to be sure you have the funding. And sometimes all that is still in place, but you could still get denied because there's a quota of just how many people they will allow in. So that makes it a lot more difficult to get a visa. And then relocating to a country, to a place you've never been in, the weather is so different. I remember that first Winter Bible seminar. My God, it was cold. It was cold. I lived in the US as a little boy, but it was cold. I've not seen that kind of cold in quite a while. Yeah,
I remember one of the trips, because we would invite, we would travel with a couple 15 passenger van loads. We'd fly into Atlanta as a part of the training process. Anyone that could get a visa for a tourist visa while they're training at the Bible college there in Nigeria. One of the things we had is, like, I think it's their year 2 trip to the States. We wanted them to go on this trip and we make it available to them. So we'd fly into Atlanta, we'd visit some churches there, and we'd drive across the States, and we'd end up in Tulsa, attend a conference, and then drive back. And I remember the first time we did that. And everyone's like, "Oh my goodness, we're gonna die! It's so cold." And so I had to bring everybody to Walmart, and we bought like gloves and mittens and scarves and several coats, and people are layering up. And then I remember inside the car where this is so funny to me, where one of the team members said, all my life I've always thought, why did they put heaters in cars? Because he'd never needed a heater in a car ever in his whole life. He'd never seen anybody ever turn it on. He's like, now I know why there's heaters in cars.
Yes, sir.
Oh, wow. We had so much fun on those trips. It's a challenge for people to go overseas from their homeland and be trained. And what happens is, because of the partners, they made it possible for Julie and I to go and bring the training to you guys. Now we've, when we turned things over to you, I keep forgetting this, was it February 2018 or 2019 that we officially, it became
January 2018. January 2018.
Okay, January 2018. I knew you would remember. January 2018, Pastor Toks formally, he'd been leading things for a number of years before that. He formally became the national director at that time. There was a long process of training and development that led to that point. And at that point, then I was still on the board, but I stepped back from leadership entirely. And there were 4 campuses with about 1,200 enrolled students. Now, how many campuses are there? And that was 2018 to now is what is that, about 7 years, something like that?
5 years.
5 years, 5 years, yeah. So in 5 years, it went from 1,200 students and 4 campuses to what?
Now we have over 6,600 students.
And how many campuses?
And we have 8 campuses. But if you're going to count them singly, we have a Kainos campus. If you're going to count them singly, it's actually 11 campuses.
Okay, so tell us what you mean by Kainos campus. I love that concept.
Okay, like we have
and while you're doing that, I'm gonna share a few pictures while you're doing that, if I can figure it out. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about that.
So we have our headquarters, national headquarters in Abuja. We have a campus in Port Harcourt. We have in Kaduna. We have an English campus, a Hausa campus. Then we have in Nasarawa. We have a campus in Lagos. in Ikeja, mainland. We have one in Enugu. Then we are starting another one this month on the Lagos Island. Then Kainos. Kainos is like a single campus. We call it a single campus, but in actual fact, it's taking Rhema to tertiary institutions in Nigeria. So that
What is that? What do you mean by a tertiary institution? That's not a word that's common with everyone.
Yes, universities,
Okay.
colleges, and polytechnics, people who have finished high school, post-high school institutions of learning, of education, where people go to get a bachelor's or go to get a diploma, ordinary national diploma or a higher national diploma. So that while they're in school, getting their education, getting their degree, they could also be attending Rhema. So we have a campus in University of Ibadan. We have another one in Obafemi Awolowo University in Ile-Ife. That's in another state. Then we have another one in University of Ilorin. That's in another state, in Kwara State. So Rhema is actually able to reach university students, college students during their schooling, and we spread it out in a way that it won't conflict with their studies, their schoolwork, and it won't conflict with their the fellowship or the church, whatever group they belong to, and still they can be having their training.
That's so powerful. So to summarize that, not only are there Bible college campuses in several different major cities, but then also you're bringing the college campuses onto the university campuses and making it accessible to university students. And from what you've said in the past, one of your aims would be is all the major university or college type campuses like that, you'd like to be on those campuses, right?
Yes, sir, exactly. So that we can get people trained nationally.
So I mean, first of all, what a powerful strategy, because what you're doing is you're getting the leaders who are in that developmental place of at university. They will be the influencers of this coming generation, and you're getting
Yes,
the word into their lives in such a foundational way. It's a powerful vision. And then
yes, sir.
And then there's the campuses in the north, and then Reach. Share a little bit about what that is.
Okay. REACH is an initiative that Pastor Matt started while he was here. REACH is an acronym, actually, Radical Evangelistic Advancement for Church Planters and Harvesters. So the whole idea of REACH is getting to the unreached people groups within Nigeria. The thing is, a person can come to Bible school just to heap up Bible knowledge so that they can be a nuisance to their pastor in church, and so that they can go on Facebook and be arguing and be fighting with everybody, and go on X or Twitter and be fighting and just be trying to put out, I know more than you, this is what's right, that's what's wrong, But that defeats the purpose of a Bible college. We want people to be trained so that they can be a blessing, fulfill the plan and the purpose of God for their life, so that they can be a blessing to their local church, and so that they can help advance the gospel. And missions is something that we are very strong about. Pastor Matt brought in that ingredient. You make that such a major thrust, and we are seeing the wisdom in that, and the importance of having that ingredient, where we can see that it's about bringing closure to the Great Commission, that Jesus is waiting for the harvest. That's what's keeping him. And the sooner we get to reach the unreached people groups, the sooner Jesus is going to come. And with our outreaches, we actually targeted different, the least reached places. We took out 20 unreached people groups as our goal, and we took them one by one. We got people there to come to Rhema, sponsored their training in the Hausa campus, and so that they can get trained. And then we actually support missionaries there. And then we build churches also for those people. And then we send teams that go to those places and help to train the people there, so that those unreached people groups can get reached, so that the gospel can go out some more, and so that we can bring in Jesus and bring in him earlier. So Reach has made that possible. And yes, sir. It's been such a
How
blessing to
many?
those people.
Do you have off the top of your head about how many people have been trained with that similar mindset and are collaborating in some way to adopt those 20 groups? Do you have that number?
We've trained quite a number of hundreds, I'll say, in the trainings we've had. I don't have the figure right
Yeah, I
on top of
know.
my head, but we've had several
I know a
trainings
couple
and
years ago.
quite a number of hundreds of people have.
Yeah, a couple years ago, I know it was 1,600. I know when we first did the
Yes,
training,
sir.
there were, I think, close to 500 people that collaborated to adopt those 20 groups. And then after that, you guys went forward with those initiatives to train even more people to adopt
Yes, sir.
groups. And
Yes, sir.
it's such a good work.
Yes.
In the
We're still
U.S.,
having yes.
go ahead. You're still having.
So we do those things annually. We're having another one this November, a missions training where people will come together. So it's been a main thrust of training people so that they can have that heart for missions with the tools they need, partnership with AIMS and Club 1040, getting the greater awareness and getting people to know how to get the job done.
I love that. Here's a picture actually of one of the groups. This slide's a little bit old, but over 1,600 people trained with this kind of training. And then here's a fellowship, and then here's one of the churches. And the reason I like to show that is because in the U.S., whenever you go to different towns, there's a First Baptist Church, First Methodist Church, the first church in these different areas. Well, these groups of people, they first start meeting together because someone's brought the gospel to them. They start meeting together and they'll meet under a tree or in the open or whatever. But then the rains come and all of that cause a lot of challenges to their ability to meet. So I know Club 1040, one of the things we have is a project that is like a sponsor to raise support for 50% of the support so that the Nigerian church can have match funding to build the very first church building amongst a whole group of people. And if, for those that are from the US that are watching this, it's like if you imagine there was no first church in your town, there was no church in your town at all. You'd never seen a church building before, ever. In fact, there's not really any buildings like that. But then if you remember back in the settlers, they would go into an area, one of the first buildings they'd build would be a church, and usually right in the prominent place within the community. And it became a central meeting space being used sometimes for school and all kinds of other things. And that's exactly what's happening with these groups, that these churches are working together and partnering together to reach out into, is they get people born again, the small fellowship is formed, but then church building is built so that they can worship all year long. And then they want a well put next to that. The building, can we use it for a school, things like that. And I remember when our previous conversations that even a number of the Bible College graduates, they actually go out and visit, or maybe even could become a teacher there. It's a pretty amazing holistic view towards reaching new groups of people that haven't had the gospel presence. Well, before we finish up, one of the reasons why I was excited to talk to you is because of the impact that training has made in Nigeria where you live, and how you're leading that, and how your story is you wanted to go outside the country for training and you had to go all the way to India. You couldn't go exactly to your first choice, but then that choice came right to you. And that same thing is happening this weekend, in fact, with Beirut, Lebanon. The Bible College launches Friday night. And so it's Friday and then all day Saturday with a new intake of students. It's charter class. You remember back to the very first charter class?
Yes.
It was so exciting. Our first group had about 80 students that came, and then that slowly built up to where it now is, like you said, 6,600 enrolled students. But to keep tuition down, there were a couple things that happened. One is Club 1040 partners invested over the space of about 10 years, about $500,000, $500,000, something like that, approximately. And that helped to minimize expenses, but then also like non-paid team members or volunteers was a big part of how people were supported. And last I knew, you had somewhere, how many people do you have in the team that are non-paid team members?
Counting all of them, we're way over 1,000. Way over
Wow,
1,000.
that's
Counting
amazing.
everybody unpaid team
So can
members.
you imagine that if the tuition had to cover the wages for all the hours that those unpaid team members give, and what that would do to the tuition? It'd go way up. So locally, through volunteerism, it helps keep tuition down. And then in addition to that, Club 1040 helped, but then also there were local believers who had the means in Nigeria to be able to support through partnership. And it was, some Nigerians are some of the most generous people in the entire world. And they believe that the Bible college is something that can change their nation. And so they invest in the Bible college. And then you had students whose lives were changed. They wanted to help scholarship other people, and they would give. And then a number of students continued to be partners as well afterwards. So all of that works to keep tuition down. Some of the statistics I see now, about how many, do you know how many Nigerian local partners you have?
Currently, our partnership numbers are about 5,000. About
That's
5,000
amazing. That's
local
amazing.
partners.
Praise God. So
Regular, about 2 to 3,000. Yes.
regular people
But
that give on a regular
5,000.
basis, two to three
Yes.
2 to 3,000 people. So you imagine if there were no local partners, if all of that didn't happen. But the other point I want to tell our Club 1040 partners is the seed that they sowed has had this ripple effect that you continue to water in such a way. It's like almost like somebody's thrown petrol or gasoline on it, to the point where it's just spreading like wildfire. Well, getting back to where we're at here locally, the church world here is very, very different. There's 5 million people, approximately 5 to 6 million people in this country, compared to the almost 200 million in Nigeria. And the church in this country has there's more people that go to one single church in multiple churches in Nigeria, in Abuja or Lagos, than there is in the entire country goes to church in this country of Lebanon, where we're at. So there might be 5,000 believers, something like that. Statistics say there's somewhere maybe around 1,000 to 1,500 Pentecostal believers that are of the same background we are. So it's amazing, when in that consideration, that we have 90 registered students starting this Friday. And these students, because of the economy's imploded, because the church isn't the same as it is in Nigeria, these students don't have that local partnership base yet. We're believing that it will, as we train leaders and churches grow and they're strengthened and healthy, and as people see how to become Christian businessmen and women, and how they can learn from countries like Nigeria and how to be people of influence with means to help facilitate the gospel in their own country. We're really, that's a goal. And that everything we do, we want it to be self-funding, self-governing, replicating, and just like Nigeria has been. So, but it takes a little bit longer here. And so what we're asking for is, because we have 90 registered students, but then we're going to allow a few others to join as we go over the next few weeks. And we're asking for 100 scholarships, which a scholarship is $78 per month times 24 months. So, I think that's $1,875. So, but for $78 a month for 2 years, it enables us to bring these students through the process of training these 100, and I believe there'll be even more than that. So from your experience, just help listeners here. I mean, if someone said that figure, I might be like, wow, that seems like a lot of money per student. Talk about what are some of the things that you have to do in order to facilitate training from you've got facilities, you've got the people who do the teaching, all this stuff. So as a director of a Bible college, what would you tell people is involved in the tuition and scholarship? What does it cover?
A number of things that have to be in place for the campus to run. First, the venue that's being used. So rent has to be paid or building has to be bought. That's one. Another thing is even the power of the place. So there has to be regular power. Then the instructors who come to teach, their transportation from wherever they're at to get where to the nation, then their transportation, let's say they're even in the nation, to get them maybe from Abuja to Lagos, Abuja to Kaduna, the in-country transportation, the international transportation, then the books that have to be made available, the staff that work so that they can be able to keep working. Their families have to be taken care of, so they need to earn something. Then the handouts that need to be provided, the classroom environment that needs to be in place, the boards, just so much that actually goes into it. It's almost unbelievable. And it's an investment that's invaluable, invaluable. Training one person, the training in one person, that person out goes and impacts several others. So there becomes a multiplier effect. Someone who's a pastor comes, gets trained, the church he pastors, he now impacts them with that training. It's money that's well spent, and it's money that's going to change the course of a nation. Crusades are good, big meetings are good, but sometimes they don't have as much lasting fruit as when individuals come, get trained, properly trained, they can then replicate it. So it seems like a lot of money, but we find out that it even takes perhaps almost more than that if we're going to put in everything. So it's there's a whole lot that goes into making Bible school happen.
Yeah, so I'm going to share these pictures again. I've shared them already, but I want to share them again so that people can see. This is from this past September alone. This is graduation. Maybe you can talk about the graduations and the different locations and things as I kind of just go through these. And maybe there's one or two students you want to highlight and tell their story. Like who was it Dr. Yemi that did, or who was it that did the DCPI training? And one graduate a number of years ago, she trained, I don't know, was it 1,000 people through DCPI? I'm sure she's trained many more than that since then.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. DCPI is a church planting, dynamic church planting international. So it's one of the things one of the organizations Rhema partners with. And just that one lady who came to Rhema, she got a hold of that training while she was in school. She's just taking it out of the charts, with the number of people she has trained. So those are some of the pictures from different campuses: the Kaduna English campus, the Kaduna Hausa campus, and the level 1, the level 2 in Kaduna. And then Nasarawa pictures, that's level 1, the people in black. The red people are the people that have finished level 2. It's a 2-year program. Those who finished the level 1, they get awarded a certificate. That's Abuja level 1 and Abuja level 2. And the figures, we had a target goal of how many people we were aiming at the get-go, kind of like a goal of the number of people we want to reach. So each time we match that with how well we did we meet our goals, did we meet our targets, what will help us do better next time, that we just seek to get more people trained. And one student testified who they'd been married for 27 years. She didn't have a child. She came to Raymond and she delivered by herself as a result of the word of God that she had. 27 years. And she delivered naturally. She conceived naturally. One student testified how he had diabetes. He came in the Believers Authority class and he just took authority over it. And that was the end of the diabetes. And years after, he's still fine. One businessman came to school. He said he learned about how to be led by the Spirit of God. God led him to apply in this particular place. He got a job and the man deals in billions of naira now. And he said all that made that possible was coming to class, learning how you can be led by the Spirit of God. One pastor said, since taking the training to his church, that the way his church has multiplied, that in fact, he wouldn't make anybody a pastor in his church who's not a Rema graduate. So we've had those kind of, just the story of one person whose life has been changed, whose life has been blessed, whose ministry has been blessed. We've had at least 9 people raised from the dead, 9 at least. And incidentally, none of them was through the faculty. It was through the students and the alumni. Just miraculous, amazing things that they are doing, starting churches. Some now have daughter churches in their churches, and it's amazing.
Thank you so much, Pastor Toks, for taking this time from your busy schedule, leading all of those team members, thousands of team members, and all the ministry, all the campuses, everything that's going on. You're doing such a great work. We're so pleased and so thankful for you. And so we're going to draw this to a conclusion, but I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that if they wanted to help launch another Bible, you may say, well, I missed out on Nigeria, but you've not missed out on helping us launch another Bible college. And that would be here in Beirut, Lebanon, where I'm broadcasting from. Toks is there in Nigeria. I'm here in Beirut. And so it's $78 per month. If you're interested in knowing how to do that or how to partner with that in that way, you can simply go to the website, CLUB1040.com, and go under where it says Lebanon Bible College. There's one of the projects there right on the homepage, and it will give you all the information. The student pays for as much as is, and in fact, it's a stretch for them to pay what they do pay, but you can make it possible so that those who have a desire to be trained and lay down their life for the gospel in the Middle East. This is, by the way, we started the Egypt camp Bible College, but which is in North Africa, but this is the first Bible college of this type and of this of these roots, Rhema, that is in the Middle East. It's starting, so you could have a seed sown like that in this important country. Help us train leaders for this end time harvest, and this is great seed to sow. Your seed sown also is helping to cause nations to be changed, so that the Middle East can be changed for the better, so that the world can even be a better place. Thank you so much, Pastor Toks. We love and appreciate you, and we're going to sign off. Anything you want to say as we sign off?
Thank you so much, sir. This is a worthy cause to partner with. A lot is happening in the Middle East, and people need to get a hold of the gospel. This is a worthy cause that will impact not just that nation, but that entire region.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless you. Have a beautiful day. And those of you that are watching the broadcast throughout the day, this is the first of many all throughout the day. The next one will be in about 20 minutes with, I believe, Pastors Alan and Claire Morton from Manchester, UK, can hear about how you've influenced their lives as well. Thank you so much. God bless. See you in a bit.
Thank you, sir.